Okay, folks, here we are back on the Conn show. That's one of my favorite songs right there. That and some of the old Bob Wills songs and things like that. But, you know, I love that song. I love that flag, and I don't apologize for it. So if you want to listen to a show that hates the flag and hates the national anthem, this ain't it, folks. You better change that dial. But I think that we need to encourage young people to honor the flag and honor the national anthem. Let's encourage young folks to respect a lot of things. Respect manners, patriotism, religion. Doesn't matter if you're what kind of religion you are. I think your children are better off and will have a better life if you encourage them to respect religion, whatever kind it is, the flag, freedom, liberty. Teach them some respect. I thought not long ago I was in a situation where a young couple had looked like about an 18-month-old little boy and about a 2 or 3-year-old little boy. And those two kids cried for, I guess, an hour. And the parents would hold them, and they'd hug them, and they'd kiss them, and they'd carry on. You know, when our kids were that size, if they were sick, they could cry. But if they were crying just to be crying, we instructed them, no, you don't do that. And if they continued to cry for no reason, I would say, come on, I'm going to go outside and give you a reason to cry. Well, then they'd quit crying because they didn't want to go outside and have a reason to cry. Okay, I can't believe, Cal, are you out there, Cal?
Yeah, that's me.
Well, hey, Cal.
How you doing? Listen,
well.
I'm going to take up about 10 or 15 minutes of your radio show.
Just go ahead.
I've been making notes here. First off, I want to thank everyone, for whatever prayers sending my way to get my health back in shape. And I think it took a turn for the worse because I've been watching CNN and MSNBC News. Seriously. I was talking to Tina last night, and I told her, oh my gosh, Wednesday, it made me so sick the way that the news media brings out things, and they're attacking the president, not looking at, is he doing something good for the country?
Yeah, don't look at the results, just cuss the man.
It's ridiculous. The way that they come out and tear him down. And I told her about Don Lemon on CNN, I believe that's where he's at. And I said, whoa, this guy, I don't know, he's off the rail, the way he attacks Trump. And, stock market, everything is doing much better. We're supposed to, increase in your pay, different things like that. And, he's not trying to do anything to destroy the country. And they try and pick at whatever they can, even a white truck in front of where he's teeing off golfing.
Yeah.
That don't even make sense.
Well, Cal, I got a question for you. When you see that, does your mind open up and consider how stupid, how ridiculous that is? Or do you take it for what they tell you it is and never question?
You were talking about your in-laws and relatives in the way that, they love Barack Obama so much, but if you sit down with him and say, okay, what did he do?
Right.
And he's trying to still be in the limelight as much as he can, talking to whoever that was over there in Britain or somewhere and all. But, it's kind of ridiculous. And I guess it's kind of like, and Kobe is good. I think for 24 years old, I was listening to her and the way she puts her words together, delusional reality. That's awesome. And it complicates our conversation in dealing with people who are on the far left because their mind is closed, like what you said.
Cal, all I can say is her grandfather taught her
Everything I know.
Okay, I can see it coming out. I said to myself, listening to her, they need her as one of the news commentators on Fox.
Oh,
because
man.
I'm serious, and I'm looking at it on Facebook. I see you have I think it's a burgundy shirt on.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Well,
it's maroon, Cal. I wear maroon.
Maroon, okay.
Aggie maroon.
It's probably my computer. But anyway, I mean, you really put things together in a way in which you can understand. And we got to learn to agree to disagree, but move forward toward making our country better. And that's closing the borders. You don't have no lottery for people coming in here. You don't have chain migration in here. Like I said once before, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, how many of us leave our doors unlocked at night when we go to bed?
We used to.
I mean, you need protection. Okay, go ahead, say something, because I'm fired up.
well, we used to do that, Cal, but you're stupid to do it now. But let's consider the door to your home like the door to your nation. Why do you close the front door when you go to bed at night? You don't want somebody to just walk in your living room and start shooting. Okay, what's the difference between closing the door to your house and closing the door to your nation? Why do we want to bring, I know I mention this too often, but Obama wanted to bring 110,000 here refugees from Syria. Hillary wanted to multiply that times 550%. Mm-hmm. Do the math, folks. Get out your calculator and figure that up, and then figure up, 650,000, whatever it is, times $67,000 per head to bring them here. Now, do you know who's going to get the bill for that?
We're going to pay it.
Us. So how would any American with a brain and a calculator listen to that and not draw the conclusion that you need to close the door on your house and you need to close the door on your nation, on your country?
To keep people right. So you have some kind of control over it. And, you made a statement earlier, which my dad used to always put out also. Birds of a feather flock together. And I don't understand. It's really difficult when I talk to some of my people I know that are on the far left, and they don't make sense. But it's more like a popularity contest to them. That's the way I see it. Well, Hillary is more popular than Donald Trump. Don't worry about what's going on in the country, what we need to take care of and all, but just, it's, I don't know, it's ridiculous. And I think last Wednesday, when I was watching, I don't know, CNN or one of them thing, I just got really, really, really upset. And I said, the news media is really tearing down this country.
Well, they are, Cal. And you mentioned watching CNN. I think that if I wanted to watch CNN news on television, my wife would probably go hide that shotgun. Because she'd be afraid I'd shotgun that TV set. But, talking to your friends, some that might be a little more liberal, whatever happened to an open-minded discussion? Someone who will consider what you're saying and then make a statement and you consider what they're saying. That doesn't happen anymore, especially with a Democrat liberal.
Well, no, because if you don't agree, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, you are.
You're an idiot. And the thing about it, they're saying that these some of the companies are going to give $1,000 bonus. Right? We've heard that.
Right.
For which will help them. Now, the far right will say, well, thank you. Yes, Donald Trump, he put a tax plan together that will, help us. And we're getting $1,000. On the far left, you know what they're going to say? Well, you gave it to me in 10 $100 bills.
Yeah.
Why didn't you give it to me in smaller change?
Yeah, they'll find something to pick at.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing can do right on there. But, Kobe, you keep up doing what you're doing, I'm going to tell you, you have a fanatic. I mean, it's really good the way you bring your points across. And I can tell you that from my 22 years in the military, I have shaken hands with Colin Powell, okay, and have talked with him. Bill Clinton, believe it or not, I've shaken his hands. They're like little baby hands, too. I mean, soft as anything. That was when I was at Fort Bragg.
They weren't. You mean they weren't calloused?
No, they didn't no callousness. They ain't never. I mean, they were the softest hands anyway, and also Condoleezza Rice.
Oh.
And I've talked to all of them in my past 22 years when I was in the military because of where I was stationed at, and they come by. But you carry yourself very well, on the radio.
Thank you.
One other thing I wanted to say, I saw last night, which was really, really good. Hannity, I think he came out of his vacation to do a special on the year of Donald Trump in office. And it was put together. I should have recorded it. I didn't. It showed all the different speeches he was making as he was moving along, in March, in April, in June, and in July, and in August. It was awesome, the way they had put that together. Hopefully they'll play it again and such. But it was on Fox, and Hannity, he was supposed to be on vacation, but I think he came out just to do this special yesterday.
But see, Cal, that's my point. Let me interrupt again. How can you look at that and consider what's happened in the last year with an open mind and then criticize it?
You can't.
Yeah, how do you do that?
I mean, Mad Dog Mattis, I mean, his hands were tied before. That's why I guess he retired. He said, we'll never win the war over there with ISIS when Barack Obama was in office. Trump comes along, and what does he say? Okay, the shackles are off, the handcuffs are off. You go ahead and kick something over there and do what you got to do to wipe them out. And that's your business. If you want to build buildings and real estate, that's me. But if you want to, you're a fighting man. And what is it? 98% of they've reclaimed. I mean, we've gotten the land back, and ISIS is on the run. They've lost 98% of what they had. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, how do you find fault with that?
You can't.
I don't like Juan Williams, but I will quote something he said, talking about the address that Donald Trump made. He said the news media is on a scavenger hunt to pick at something he said. And that is very, very true. They're on a scavenger hunt to pick at, like a white truck and parked in front of his. Is that all you can find to criticize?
Well, the way I look at it, the news media needs to stop. They're attacking Donald Trump, popularity and stuff. But if you have plain good common sense, open your eyes, sit down, listen to what's going on, you will find out that they're actually destroying America.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They are destroying us.
And what's odd, Cal, is they live here too. It'd be different if they lived somewhere else, but they live in this country just like you and I do. Why do they want to destroy it?
Well, see, the thing is, and I can't blame I guess you'd say the Don Lemons and the people that are on CNN and making up, all of them on there. It's the people at the very top, the CEOs, and they're billionaires. So they don't worry. They got enough money to take care of themselves and their family and everything else. I guess I'm going off on a tangent here. But thank you, AC, for saying you enjoy us talking on the program together. I appreciate that out there. I guess he's still listening. But I heard him call in earlier. But, I mean, to me, when they are out there, the news media is really, really, really destroying our country.
Well, Cal,
that's the way I look at it.
You know what I think people enjoy about you being on the show is your skin color. Now, you hear there is so much, and I shouldn't bring that up, I guess, but you hear so much about black victims and racism and all this kind of stuff. And here's Cal, that is an American black man. I don't think he's an African American. I think he's just an American black man. But you come on here and you don't play the victim card. You don't play the racist card. You just have some open-minded, common discussion. And I think that's why people like you calling in. It's why I like you calling in.
Well, yeah.
It's because you're what you are. You're real. You're not. What am I trying to say?
Genuine.
Let me tell you one thing. My father, he lived in 93. He passed away in 2011. As I was going through life, he was always a Republican. I couldn't understand that. Really. But he used to tell me, Cal, look at what's going on. He was a Republican. And now I understand why. I mean, because the Democratic Party has so victimized the black race to believing that we're going to take care of you.
Right.
Give us your vote, we're going to take care of you. And then when it's all over and done, you look at it and say, well, my wallet is still empty. You know, I mean, you got to wake up and realize that if you do better for the country wide, then it has to come back to you to do better.
Okay.
You don't want promises.
Cal, let me interrupt you here just for 1 second.
That's too much time.
We got a break coming up. That's how we pay the bills around here.
Okay.
But, hey, don't lose the phone number, Cal.
Oh, well, I won't. I know I went off too much.
No, don't. You just keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Cal.
All right. You take care, Kobe.
Hope you feel better.
All right. Bye.
Back on the Common Sense with Conn show. I hope y'all are enjoying the program as much as I have. But dadgum, I don't know what happened to this 2 hours. This is the fastest 2 hours in my life, and I don't know about anybody else, but I really do enjoy the conversations that we have on this show. I enjoy the knowledge it brings to me, and I hope to y'all that are listening. There is so much that I have not gotten to. Boy, I got all these notes, and I've had some good conversations and some good callers, and all of y'all don't forget the phone number, because I'll be back on next Saturday, I guess. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. One thing I wanted to talk about, and Kobe, I think, has a few words to say about it also. There was a police shooting in Kansas, and it has to do with a new video game or some kind of a game where people will call 911 and report that there's a dead man in the house, and the bad guy has hostage the mother and 2 children, and they want them to send the SWAT team. Mm-hmm. Well, here comes the SWAT team, and the innocent homeowner opened the door, and the police shot him dead. Now, there's several things we need to discuss about that.
So that happening, that instance, it was related. They think that it was related to a prank because of a wager that started over a video game. But the practice, what you're talking about, is called swatting. So it's when someone will call and make a false report, give misinformation, and then, the SWAT team shows up and they do their thing based on this misinformation. So the idea of swatting isn't really based on a video game. Just this particular instance that we were talking about had to do with a video game.
Well, there's 2 aspects of that story that I'd like to visit about just a little bit. One is, how wrong is it for somebody to think it's funny to do the swatting thing, call 911, give a false report? Why do they think that's funny?
Well, I think that comes down to people don't think about consequences.
Right.
You have to realize that everything you do has consequences, and you can control what you do. You cannot control those consequences. So people, take action. They do something silly like make this phone call. They don't think about everything that can happen.
Well, are we not teaching our young people to think about consequences?
Not at all. No.
Just for example, last week, some teenagers were on an overpass dropping sandbags full of sand on a passing car underneath, and I think it wound up killing some folks or put them in the hospital.
Well, and some kids the other day, they were racing.
Yeah,
they were racing, and they wound up wrecking into a car, and I don't remember who, there were some deaths because of that.
Why does anyone think that could be funny? But back to the swatting thing. The other aspect of that worries me is John Stossel here about a year or two ago on his program had a video of a SWAT team operation where they were going to look for a criminal and they got the wrong address. So the SWAT team goes in the door of this house, and one of the SWAT officers accidentally discharges his gun. And when the shot went off, the rest of them killed the man of the house, shot him 28 times. They shot him 28 times in front of his wife and 3 children. What worries me about that is, and there's several cases like that you never hear about the innocent victims that are killed that way. Now, it was just on the news yesterday that there was 128 police killed in the line of duty. 44 were killed feloniously. Yet you hear every day that policemen lay their life on the line for us every day. Okay, there was 128 killed, car wrecks, whatever. But let's just use the 44. There was 44 killed feloniously. How many people, like the victim in this shooting in Kansas, how many of those are killed every year? John Stossel had that program on where they kicked in the wrong door. They shot the man 28 times. There was a case in California where a returned Iraq soldier was at home, been home, I think, 2 weeks or something, and the same thing. The SWAT team got the wrong address, kicked the door in, and the man stood up, grabbed a gun, but he didn't know who kicked the door in. Well, they shot him like 40 times or whatever it was in front of his family. Okay, how many times does that happen? It's not reported. There is no accounting of how many people are killed that way. Innocent victims. You never hear the number. It's never reported. Why not? And I guess I'm not here to criticize police officers. God help them. We got to have them, and they do a fine job. But my point of this is, do we have some people in the policing world that just really want to kill somebody? And now, there may not be but 1% or 2% that fit in that category. But if there is 1 or 2%, why are they still carrying a gun and a badge? Why can't we do something to get rid of those? Because they're being painted with the same brush as the other 99% that are really good, honest, serious peace officers. And I don't mean to dwell on that, but I'm just saying, I think it begs an honest question. How many times does that happen in a year? And how many times, what's the count? You see the count of how many cops are killed in the line of duty and how many are killed feloniously. You never have a count of how many are killed, innocent victims that are killed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's so interesting to me that those numbers that you just read, because, based on kind of the perception, I guess, that we have in society, that's a really small number.
Well,
I mean, it's completely sensationalized, how dangerous being a police officer is. And, you watch, crime shows, and they have shootouts every other day. And so it's totally dramatized and sensationalized. So, if you ask kind of the lay person, well, yeah, that is a super dangerous profession. And of course, there's danger involved. But is it really as dangerous and as insane as it's made out to be, and as they, teach themselves that it is?
Well, is it reality? It's. I can quote you some more numbers. In 2016, there was 165, I think, officers killed in the line of duty, and 60 were killed feloniously.
Mm-hmm.
The year before that, there was 155, I think, killed in the line of duty. 50 were killed feloniously.
That is that's so interesting. I mean, I really don't have, a whole lot of experience with it. I don't really know anyone who is on the force or anything like that. But just based on kind of the narrative in the media, that number is really surprising to me.
Well, but let's look at the numbers, whether it's 50 or 60 or this year 44. How many of them are there? There is, by one report, I heard there was 1 million, but let's use the other number, 700,000 cops in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Divide 700,000 into 50 or 60 or 44. Do the math. What are the odds?
Mm-hmm.
So, and here again, I'm not trying to be critical of police departments, but I'm just saying that if every time you turn the news on, they refer to them as heroes, lay their life on the line every day, are we brainwashing our cops to believe that everyone out there is a criminal?
Mm-hmm.
I had a man call the show here a few weeks back. He's a retired police officer, and he stated that he went to have coffee with 3 other police officers, and one of them made the statement, everyone out there is a criminal. It's just up to us to decide who to arrest. But they're all criminals. So if we promote this idea that everyone in society is an enemy and I'm out to get them, or they think they're out to get me, what are we doing to people's brains? What kind of thoughts are we putting in their head? And I don't know what training officers do with trying to train new policemen, but I hope the training officers are not putting this idea in officers' minds that, well, another point is, when's the last time you heard of a policeman shooting someone once? If I wanted to disarm old West over there, I'd shoot him in the leg, or I'd shoot him in the arm, or I don't know, I might just shoot him in the head, but but
the leg will do.
West said try the leg. But how often do you hear of a police officer shooting someone 16 times or 10 times? Or the case of the man that in a car said he had a pistol permit, but he reached down to get his driver's license and the cop shot him 9 times. Now, what is the need? Why do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
There was a case in Ohio where a black couple in a car, older car, drove in front of the police station and the car backfired. Well, the police all ran out and got in their squad cars and chased them down, shot the car full of holes, killed the black couple. And as the black couple lay there in the front seat dead, a police officer jumped up on the hood and shot 16 times through the windshield into the dead bodies. Now, that was on the news. What is wrong with that guy?
It's a little excessive.
My other question is he still a police officer? And if he is, why is he? So I just say we sure do get the wrong impression, and it's why? Why are we doing this? Why don't we just tell the truth? Now, what if you divide 700,000 into 50 or 60? What are the odds?
Well, but that's not a story.
No, it's not.
That's not a story. It's not interesting, to go on the news and talk about police officers as a job, or talk about, police officers in Rogers, Texas, who give traffic tickets all day. That's not interesting.
Right. And it goes unnoticed. It doesn't make headline news. See, so does our news media, are they on a scavenger hunt to find some sensational story that makes frontline news?
Absolutely, even if they have to, kind of change the details a little bit.
Yeah. And what's the end result of that?
It's a misconception of the reality of the situation.
Yeah. And what's the results of a society that you feed this to on a daily basis? Then what are we doing to that society?
Well, you're sensationalizing everything. You're dramatizing everything.
Well, I keep referring to it. I guess I shouldn't, but there was a thing here recently on a TV station where a black lady walked in, I think to Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure, and she saw a jar or a wreath or something with cotton balls. And she called the TV station complaining about how that was so traumatic for her to see those cotton balls. Now, believe it or not, I have experienced picking cotton in a cotton patch. I have done that when I was about 10 years old. I'll bet you $500 to a donut that lady has never set foot in a cotton patch. So do we have a whole society full of people that want to be a victim? They're looking for any kind of an excuse to be a victim. What are we doing to ourselves? What are we doing to our country? What is the news media doing to us? And I keep saying, this road we're traveling, where's this road take us? What's the destination of this road we're traveling in America? Because if the destination is the destruction of our society and this country, is that what we want to do? Like I said a while ago, where do you think your kids are going to live? I want to keep this country free because I have kids and grandkids, and one of them sitting right here. I want to keep the freedoms and the liberties that we have in this country. I want to keep it a Judeo-Christian society for my children and grandchildren. What's wrong with somebody that wants to destroy this country? I got a question for them. Where's your kids going to live? After we've destroyed this society we live in, maybe you'll be dead and gone, but you got children and grandchildren, where you want them to live.
Well, it's thinking about consequences, which, most people don't do that nowadays. My mama used to always say, when we would leave the house, make good ripples. Because everything you do, you throw a rock in a lake and you see how those ripples just grow and grow. She used to tell us that. Most people don't think in terms of that. They think in terms of instant gratification, because that's what our society is based on at this point, instant gratification. They don't think about consequences. They don't think about what's going to happen in terms of themselves. They definitely don't think about what's going to happen in terms of, future generations.
And that sometimes results in feel-good legislation.
Very much so.
We have legislators who cannot consider unintended consequences. I use the example of Lady Bird Johnson wanting to pass Highway Beautification Act so that when the people are mowing the highway right-of-ways, they can't mow a flower. So here's all these beautiful little yellow flowers, and they mow around them. They leave the little beautiful yellow flowers to mature and grow and go to seed. And the wind comes along and blows the seed over in my pasture, and now I have a whole pasture full of yellow little flowers, which is a bitter weed. It's not a rose bush, folks. It's a weed. And now you've got farmers buying herbicide to try to kill these beautiful little yellow flowers that are weeds, and all because that Lady Bird Johnson wanted to pass the Highway Beautification Act.
Well, she wanted to make her mark.
Yeah, no one ever looked at the unintended consequences of that law that they passed, idiotic as it might have been. So why can't we, specifically legislators, why can't they look at a statute they're voting on and ask the question, what are the unintended consequences?
Yep. So let's think about that question. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, go ahead and give us a call at 773-1400 to comment on it, or check us out at ktemnews.com.
Okay, folks, here we are back on the air with the Common Sense with Conn call-in show. Now, the phone number here to call in is 254-773-1400. That's 773-1400. So y'all pick up that phone and call in if you got something to say.
You can also see us on the Facebook page. You can listen to the show on the Facebook page. We're on there live. You can comment.
Now, see, I'm glad that Kobe brought that up because I am so knowledgeable and so experienced in the high-tech world that y'all don't think I'd lie to you every now and then, do you?
We've seen you on Snapchat, Conn.
Yeah.
Does he have a Snapchat?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, gosh. Can you just imagine him with that little deer filter?
With the little ears on.
Oh, my goodness. Well, if something goes wrong, y'all can blame it on Kobe or Wes.
Let's blame it on Wes, because I'm just a guest.
Yeah, there you go. It's Wes's fault. That's what it is. Well, folks, we have really enjoyed this another Saturday on the Common Sense with Conn talk show. I hope that y'all have enjoyed it as much as I have. But doggone, this time goes so fast that I don't know where it goes. It goes somewhere. I think that Wes has got it on speed dial over there or something. I don't know. But at any rate, we're talking about various problems with our society, and mostly we're talking about where do these problems take us? What is the end result of what's happening in our country? Let me get on immigration just for a moment. Now there's a thing about the DACA kids, and they keep calling them DACA children. The average age is 23. I quit calling people children after about 16 or 17 or 18, but when they get 23, I think they're grown people, and I don't know why they don't just go to work if they're going to be here. But at any rate, let's consider the fact that there's 850,000 DACA children, if they will, and they can all bring 23 kinfolks here. What is 850,000 times 23?
That's a big number.
Get out your calculator and do the math. Do we want to flood this country with people from other cultures, other religions, other ways of life, other value systems? Why do we want to do that? Do we want to flood this country with other people, other things? Then what will happen to our country? What is the end result of this road we're traveling? Now, I referred to Barack Obama wanting to bring 110,000. Hillary wanting to multiply it times 550%. All right, consider that figure, whatever that is, and then consider the DACA figure with the 23 chain migration folks that are coming. Then consider how many come here under the lottery immigration system. We don't have any idea who and what they are. Whether you're bringing people here by the hundreds of thousands from Muslim countries or from South Central America, whatever. See, we used to allow some immigration from where? From Poland, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, all kinds of different countries, Australia, I guess. But most of those people came here, went to work. They went to work, fed their family, paid their taxes, became good, productive citizens. Now we're bringing a lot of people here that don't come with a work ethic. They don't come from a culture much like ours. So are we trying to destroy America? Is that our goal?
Well, and there's this narrative when you bring up immigration, people act like Americans are, you're a terrible person if you talk about making immigration difficult. Let me tell you, other countries have that process too.
Yeah.
I lived in Mexico for a year and a half, and it was very important that the papers were all in line. I couldn't go there until everything was official, and they had a very specific process, and it was very important to maintain it and to be legal. And so if these other countries are allowed to do that, then why on earth am I a terrible person when I suggest the same thing?
Well, and let's consider the fact that there's 7.5 billion with a B people in this world, on this planet. Well, probably half of them would like to come to America. Now, some good, well-meaning Christian-type folks say, well, we should clothe the naked, heal the sick, feed the hungry, house the homeless. Let's bring them all here, and let's feed them and clothe them and house them. Think about what you're saying. Is that what you want to do, and how long will this society survive if we do that? Okay. I think that we're getting close to the end of this 2 hours, and I can't believe that we've been here 2 hours. My goodness gracious. But I think we are. So I think we're fixing to have to play some music here, or maybe a commercial. Mercy sakes alive. Are we going? Okay, folks, here we are back on the Okay, folks, here we are back on the
shot 2 colleagues before killing himself. Fox News, fair and balanced.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
So we've got our neighbor Paul coming over tonight for a barbecue, which is why I prepared a delicious lemon rosemary steak marinade from my special collection of old family recipes. To make sure the steaks are extra tender, I left them marinating out on the counter overnight, just like Nana used to.
Maria may mean well, but without food safety, it never ends well. Always thaw or marinate foods in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or you could make your friends and family really sick. Maria's neighbor Paul didn't think twice about the steak he ate until he was presenting his company's financial forecast to the board. That's when a sudden bout of food poisoning made it explicitly clear that profits weren't the only thing on the rise. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov. You'll learn the right steps as Maria does everything wrong. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Revelers in frozen parts of the U.S. are